Welcome to CETV. Today we're looking at Fujifilm's new camera, the X-H2S. Today we also have Joel Gibson with us. Welcome, Joel.
Thank you, Ricky. Happy to be here.
So you spent a little bit of time with this camera, Joel. Tell us what's new from Fuji. What have they brought to the table with this new camera?
Yeah, well, the autofocus is as good as it's ever been. So especially for sports photographers, it's got really good subject tracking.
Yep.
To support that as well, they've got high-speed shooting with the CF Express Type B card, which
New
is a
card,
new,
yes.
first Fujifilm camera to have that.
And that won't let you down, right? So when you're shooting high bursts for long periods of time, there's no stoppage.
No stoppage. It's also really good if you're shooting video.
Okay.
So if you want to shoot video with some pretty high specs,
Yep.
it nails it.
Yep. And getting the information off the card is quite quick as well.
Yeah. So I wasn't having to wait any lag time at all
nice.
with the CF Express Type B. I could be shooting slow motion footage 1 second, shooting some fast high speed shooting the next, and I could just keep flowing really well.
Tell us more about this subject detection. You mentioned for sports shooters, but what other subjects are in there?
Yeah, so for the sports shooters, you do have like automobiles, motorbikes, things like that you can detect. But for wildlife shooters, you've got animal detection, you've got birds, and you've also got normal face detection.
Yeah, face and eye.
Which is fairly
taking
standard
photos
now.
of your dog or your bird.
The bird photography, dog photography is really fun to play around with, especially if you've got a little dog running around.
It's very quick autofocus. Like, tracking these birds and these animals sometimes can be a bit difficult, but I think it's really improved in this camera, has it not?
It's the first camera that I picked up and gone, oh, maybe I can be a bird photographer.
Okay.
So that's one of the hardest things to do. But being able to have a little box around the bird as you shoot it, really useful. It also gives you a bit more confidence when you're doing it.
Yeah.
Even with things like subject tracking of people, it detects when a person turns around, and you can see the autofocus kind of tracking it the whole way.
Nice.
So
you can concentrate more on the photography side of things rather than the autofocus. So it does the job for you. Excellent. Nice.
The autofocus is not only really good in photos, but in videos as well. They've carried all that subject detection across.
Okay, nice.
Yeah, so now you can be shooting birds photos, but you can also be shooting birds in video really well as well.
And eye detection in video is very important these days, and this would have it in it,
Yeah, got it in there. It'll detect eyes, it'll change the face and body when it needs to, which is really adaptable.
Yeah.
And it gives you, again, just more confidence in the system as you shoot.
Yeah, certainly.
Custom
So we've got 7 custom mode dials. That's I've never seen that many custom modes on a camera before.
Yeah, so the
you
first...
can easily switch, yeah?
Yeah. So the first thing that I noticed was a lot of custom modes. So we don't have ISO and shutter dials like we have in most Fujifilm cameras.
Mm-hmm.
But in place of that, we got these really cool, useful little custom modes. I found that really useful to kind of pair. C1 might be my photo mode. C2 would be my video mode.
Yeah, nice.
I could quickly switch
hybrid
in between.
shooters, yeah.
Hybrid shooting.
A lot of professional photographers are doing hybrid shooting these days, and so a lot of enthusiasts as well.
Yeah, and you've got 7 options there. I mean, even chucking the video option at the end, got 8 options to kind of choose from. You can be shooting photos 1 second, video the next, so hybrid shooters it's perfect for. The other thing for hybrid shooters is it just offers a lot of video options. So it's not doing anything by halves. So you've got those photo options and the video options in terms of autofocus, carries across both, works really well with both. But you've also got some video modes where you can do 5 times slow motion in 4K. You can have F mode running. Yeah, really impressive.
There's a couple of new features on this, but I haven't really seen in cameras before. None of the Fuji line have had it. I've never seen it in any other camera. It's got some weird holes on the back. Tell us more about that.
Yeah, so on the back here, we've got kind of room to screw in a fan. So we've got these 2 screws here and a little port to power it. The nice thing with the fan is it powers straight off the camera. So you don't need to be carrying any extra batteries or double A's. The nice thing about it as well is it's extra, but you don't really need it. So even with the high-speed shooting that this camera offers, especially in video, it's just reliable. It just works. There's no...
Well, certainly with the fan, some cameras can overheat in certain conditions. Certainly with videographers, it can be an issue. But I think with this fan, it's really a game changer. You can have it on or you can have it off. There are some cameras that do offer it in place, but this one you can take it off because not everyone needs it.
Yeah, exactly. So I think that's really good for hybrid shooters.
Yeah.
Because you might be a photographer only and dabble in some video, and you don't want to have this fan kind of taking up space of the camera.
But then you've got the videographers that need the reliability that you talked about.
Yeah. So a videographer shooting for long hours, an interview, anything like that, you've got the fan there to add on if you need it. You've also got USB-C power delivery, so you can kind of keep the camera powered up.
Yep.
And especially for those videographers, a full-size HDMI.
Wow, that's huge.
Well,
the camera's quite small, but they're putting in the full HDMI to support rather than having a very small HDMI cable. So that's amazing.
Yeah, definitely adds to the reliability of the camera.
There's a lot of new things about this camera, Joel. However, there's a lot of core features from Fujifilm that they've kept.
Yeah. So the first thing that you'll notice is the film simulations are all there. It's got every one that they've released so far. So you've got anything like a Turner for video, or you've got your normal kind of Astia and Provia. Valvia.
I think Valvia is my favourite.
Yeah, Valvia, great for landscapes. It means you can have an image ready to go without having to go back and edit it on your computer.
Not everyone wants to edit.
Yeah, but then you've got the ability to do that if you need to. And really good support from Capture One and Lightroom in kind of adding those features in later on the track. Other things that are kind of normal is the buttons are all kind of in the same spot as any other camera. So even though the grip is substantially bigger from any of your XT series,
it's very familiar,
yeah, it's very familiar. You can pick it up, you can go, oh, yep, this is where the Q menu is, things like that.
Yep.
It also means that the menus themselves are quite familiar. There's more options than ever before in those menus, but they still make sense.
Yeah.
So they're not.
So you still be able to use, if you're using Fujifilm cameras, it's not going to be, you don't have to be an Einstein to use this one.
No, it's very intuitive.
Yeah.
Pick up and use, you can be shooting straight away.
And battery, which battery have they got with this one?
Yeah, so the battery is the same as the X-T4.
Nice.
It's also the same battery that we've seen in the GFX series. So it means that if you've already invested in the Fujifilm system, this battery is just going to pair really well.
Yeah, that's great.
The other thing though is the battery life is great.
Yeah.
So the new battery, it is a bit of a jump from what we've seen with some of the XT series, but the battery life is much improved.
Yeah.
So it's definitely a welcome change.
That's great. So they've got a lot of advanced features in this camera. People these days need to shoot a little bit differently from the traditional video. Talk us through what this camera has, Joel.
Yeah. So certainly for videographers and hybrid shooters, it's got a really cool feature, which is the 6.2K open gate mode. What that means...
What is that, Joel?
What that means is when you're shooting video, it has a full sensor readout.
Okay.
So it's not cropping down to 16:9 or anything like that. You get a 3:2 image.
Okay.
What that means in reality or in functionality is that you're able to shoot both 4K landscape, but you can also crop to a 4K vertical shot.
And what's that useful for?
Really useful for social media.
Okay.
So for those people who are on the job and the client turns to them and they say, actually, we need a vertical shot of this as well.
They can just crop it.
You can do that later.
Well, that's amazing.
Really useful to have. Really fun little feature as well.
I don't think they have that in a lot of cameras at all. So
very rare.
That's great support from Fujifilm, going forward with the times.
Yeah, and pushing ahead as well.
Excellent. Talk us through who this camera is for, Joel.
Yeah, so the first people that come to mind are going to be those Fuji shooters, those people who are already invested and love the Fuji system, because it's got a lot of the features that you're used to. It's really easy to pick up as a Fuji user and shoot away with. But it brings a lot of features that we're used to in some Fujifilm cameras, but it brings some new features as well.
Just improves on them, yeah.
Just improves on them. The number one thing is probably going to be autofocus and video though. So for any Fujifilm shooters wanting to shoot birds or wildlife or sports or anything like that, it's a camera really to go for out of the lot.
Same battery, they can whack the same battery in there and away you go if you've got an X-T4 or even a GFX lineup. Yeah,
and it's going to make sense. So even if you've got a two camera kind of setup or anything like that, it's going to be easy to jump across from this to an X-T4 or anything like that.
And you talk about wildlife and sports quite a lot. What's the frame rate on this?
You can shoot up to 40 frames per second on this camera, which is just crazy.
That's amazing. Who needs anything more than that?
Very few people. So I think it kind of crosses a broad spectrum. So that's also people who are shooting sports and wildlife and people who are shooting video.
Yep.
So I think really the H for this camera, for me, stands for hybrid. So anybody wanted a hybrid shoot.
Okay.
perfect for.
Good. Excellent. Excellent. People new to the Fujifilm scene, how are they going to go with this camera?
It's probably going to be more familiar to them, this kind of camera, because it's got your traditional kind of PASM dials rather than the shutter and ISO dials, but it still has that kind of Fuji feel to it. So it's going to be different, but it's going to be easy to get used to.
Thanks for coming in today, Joel. It's been great seeing Fujifilm's new camera. It's been exciting to have you here. Thank you very much for turning up. If you'd like to see more of this, make sure that you subscribe to us, comment, and don't forget to smash that like button. Thanks for watching.